Okay, we're going to be looking at simplifying algebraic equations. I am going to try to state properties as we use them. So when I look at this equation, 3x plus 2 plus 2x plus negative x plus 3, the first thing that I want to do is get all of my x's together and all of my numbers together. So, since the whole problem is addition, we can rearrange the order of it to do it in any order. The reason is because there is a commutative property of addition, and that property says that you can add in any order, or a plus b is the same as b plus a, meaning 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. So we're going to use that to rearrange the order of addition that we have here. So I'm going to put 3x next to the 2x, next to the negative x, then I put my numbers together, 2 plus 3. Now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to combine all my x's. Now I'm going to make us write out some steps so that we understand what we are allowed to combine and what we're not. In this 3x, there is no number 3 because it is saying I have 3 x's, meaning it's the same as x plus x plus x. If I look at the 2x, that's the same as having 2 x's, or x plus x. Then I have my negative x, and then I have my 2 plus 3, which I know is 5. The thing that allows me to break those apart into that 3x is x plus x is just the definition of multiplication, because multiplication by definition is repeatedly adding the same thing. At this point, I'm going to start combining some things. So the first thing that I'm going to look at actually is x plus negative x. X plus negative x is 0. And if you ever can't remember, plug in a number for x. So if we pretended that x was 2, I would say 2 plus negative 2 is 0. If I put in 3, 3 plus negative 3 is 0. What it's called when you add a number and its opposite and get 0, that is called the additive inverse property. And what that says is that any number added to its inverse or opposite will always give you 0. So now I have x plus x still there. I still have that x. This all became 0. And I still have plus 5. At this point, I know that anything plus 0 is that same thing. That is called, so any number plus 0, that is called the identity property of addition. And again, that states that any number plus 0 is that same thing. So therefore, we can just rewrite that without the 0. Level 4 students will be able to cite these properties for a simple mathematical proof, but not all students are expected to do that. At this point, then I can see that I have x plus x plus x plus x. I have 4 x's, and I know that repeatedly adding the same thing can be replaced with multiplication. Remember, the multiplication symbol is not necessary anymore, it's implied. So again, what allowed me to do that step right there was the definition of multiplication. And so then I can see that it's simplified all the way to 4x plus 5. The biggest mistake that people make is they add the 4 and the 5 to get 9x, but when you write out the x's like I did, you can see that it doesn't make sense to do that because you don't have 9 x's, you only have 4. So if you feel like that's a mistake you make, definitely make sure that you write out the addition problem so you don't combine things that aren't there. For the rest of the problems, I'm not going to go through all the properties. I'm not going to write down all the properties as I use them. So let's go over to this problem right here where I have x plus 4 plus x plus x plus 1. So the first thing that I look at is I want to get together all of my x's and all of my numbers. So I have x plus x plus x plus 4 plus 1. Remember, what allows me to rearrange the order of addition was the commutative property of addition. And then I know that 4 plus 1 is 5, and I can add in any order because of the commutative property. And I have x plus x plus x. By definition of multiplication, when we add the same thing over and over again, can be placed with multiplication. So it's 3 times x. And remember, the multiplication symbol is not necessary. So as simple as it goes is 3x plus 5. Simplifying means we're using the least amount of symbols possible to write it. When we look at this problem over here, the 4 times the quantity x plus 2 plus x equals y is the most difficult problem because we're just starting to work with the distributive property. So the first thing that I think is what goes in between the 4 and this parentheses here. And remember, whenever there is no symbol, it's always implied that it's multiplication. So what this problem is asking us to do is multiply the number 4 by some number that's 2 more than x, but we don't know what x is. Any multiplication problem in the world can be seen as the area of a rectangle, because to find the area of a rectangle, we multiply two numbers. So for instance, let's say we have the problem 2 times 3. I can think of that as a rectangle with a height of 2 and a base of 3. And to find the area, I multiply the two dimensions together, giving me 6, just like I would for the multiplication problem. This becomes important because it's going to help me figure out how can I rewrite this without parentheses. I need to rewrite it without parentheses because order of operations says I have to do parentheses first. And because I don't know what x is, I can't do that and simplify the equation at all. So I'm going to write it in another form. So again, I see multiplying two values. We know that that can be seen as the area of a rectangle. And right now in this problem, I'm only looking at this section. I can see I have a height of 4, and the base is x plus 2. At this point, I'm going to just try to find the areas as simplified as I can go. So I can see the area of this rectangle here, I would multiply 4 times x. So that's the same as 4x. To find the area of this rectangle here, I would multiply my base of 2 by my height of 4 and get 8. What that allows me to do is it allows me to rewrite this section of the problem without parentheses because we know it is equivalent to 4x plus 8. Now I can't forget that I do still have this other x out here. Now at this point I treat it the same as all the other problems where I try to get all of my x's together. And I use so this was my distributive property. It's called that because you're distributing the 4 to everything inside of the parentheses by going 4 times x, 4 times 2. But I use my distributive property there to rewrite it as 4x plus 8. Oh, sorry, but now I was trying to get all of my x's together. So when I rearrange the order of addition, remember I use the commutative property of addition, which tells me that I can add in any order without changing its value. I know that 4 times x is the same as x plus x plus x plus x, because I have 4 x's. I still have my other x here, and my plus 8. By definition of multiplication, I can see that adding x plus x 5 times is the same as 5x, and I still have my 8 there, and that it is simplified as it can go. So remember, when you are simplifying algebraic expressions, first look for anything that you can combine, any variables that are the same that you can combine, any numbers that you can combine to get a simpler value, and make sure you look for whether you're going to be needing to use the distributive property or not.